Hey everybody, Rhys here with Awaken tip number 18, Awakening and Enlightenment. So the goal of life, right, is to become enlightened, right? Especially after you've made all of your millions of dollars. So the first goal of life is to make $1 million and get rich and do these things and be successful and make sure everybody knows. And then when you find out that nobody's going to know, even if you make $1 million, nobody's going to care. And it's like, oh, then I have to look inside and maybe I missed something by just completely focusing all my energy outside on the externals of my life. Now we go inside. And so now then we have this sort of search, this hunt within us that once we awaken to that we have a soul or we have this deeper consciousness within us, well, what would it be like? And then we hear stories of enlightened people, and then we go to watch certain master speakers, and they're speaking, and they seem so enlightened, and you're like, wow, I'm not very enlightened. I'm always thinking about stuff and attacking people in my mind and feeling bad and feeling overwhelmed and all these things, and why can't I find that inner peace that enlightened person has? So what is enlightenment? What is it actually to be enlightened and to awaken? And what is it that you're awakening to? And so awakening is very simple. It is awakening whenever you have an aha moment, you have an epiphany. Okay, so an epiphany is awakening's sort of little brother or little sister. So an epiphany is when what we call the aha point, right back here in the back of the skull, between the brain and the nervous system, and it's sort of like the central point where all of the sensations that you have come together, and you go, oh, I get it. It's like, oh, wow, I could have had a V8, or it's I get it. And whatever you get an epiphany, it's never for anybody else. So this is really important to understand. Your most psychic part of you is never for anybody else. And it doesn't mean that you can't get intuition for other people or understand. And I'm, we've got great psychics. I've got an amazing psychic, Lisa Campion, in my program, and learning to tune your mind and your body and everything into other people's fields teaches you how to read for them. But the most important psychic and awakening and enlightenment that you'll ever have is, who are you and what are you doing here, right? Isn't that it? Isn't that when you have this sort of a deep understanding of who you are, what your purpose is here? And I wrote the book Discover Your Purpose because that's the foundation of enlightenment. Until you know who you are, you can't ever understand why or what's going on or anything that's even happening. So think about awakening is an awakening to your deeper nature, your soul quality within you, the unbendable and non-negotiable part of who you are. And so awakening processes, like we're going to be doing at Awaken in May, are processes that bring you into a stopping thinking who you are, which creates a whole world. You're thinking who you are, and since you think you know who you are, but it's not working at all, that means you don't know anything about who you are, and you're still doing this thing, and I'm saying that I'm so sure of this is the way the world is. And of course, you're completely wrong, because it's not making you happy, whereas being enlightened would mean that everything you experience makes you happy, right? I mean, if you're living your purpose, how much happier could you be? And that would be the awakening. So doing your inner work is going to come back to breaking that mental pattern of telling you who you are and awakening within you the ability to feel something genuine. And when you feel that something genuine, you're going to feel that this is a quality within you that's been there forever. It's been there forever. From the moment you were born, you've had this quality, this nervous system, this type of experience that reminds you of something. What is it? Oh, me, right. And when you have an epiphany is the beginning of enlightenment. And whenever you get an epiphany, you always go, oh, and you notice you melt a little bit, right? You just go, oh. oh. An epiphany is never like, oh, I figured out how to get from here to Boston and by car. That's just sort of like a mental kind of exercise. You go, oh, it's kind of neat. I kind of figured that out. That's not an epiphany. Epiphany is when you go, oh. And what you're saying, oh, about is that who you thought you were 3 seconds ago isn't the person you realize you actually are in this moment. So enlightenment is something that can be, it's an evolution of consciousness where you're becoming aware of yourself, and it can be improved and hurried along a little bit by doing awakening activities, meditation, healing work, chanting, deep interpersonal work, love, falling in love, and really allowing yourself to be vulnerable and open. All of these elements that lead to what we called intimacy before. We didn't check back a few weeks ago on intimacy, and you can really begin the process of awakening and enlightenment. And it's not a matter of going to a guru and they say, well, you're gonna do this and this and you'll become enlightened. You can't learn enlightenment from anybody else. You have to learn it from yourself. There are techniques, which we will be doing at Awaken, where you can begin the process of, you do these techniques, you do these meditations, you move your body this way, you interact with people in a certain way, you connect to the world in a more open way. You will be able to then feel this person that you've always been inside of you. And that is awakening and enlightenment. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that tip as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. And I just wanted to let you know that these awakening tips, I'm going to continue to do them over the next 2 months, right up to our event, our big flagship event each year, which is called Awaken. And these awakening tips are just the tip of the iceberg as to what you're going to get in a 2-day event, May 20th and 21st, at the Holiday Inn in Dedham, Massachusetts. It's going to be awesome, and we've used that hotel before. They're fantastic. It's a great place to have it, and we are going to share with you as much as we can the experience of really being in the Rhys Institute of Energy Medicine, and these tips are just like I said, sort of like the primer for what we're doing there to sort of get you going. So if you're interested in finding out more about the live event and getting the $50 ticket. Which actually is a $50 ticket for the whole 2 days, and you can bring a friend. Click on this video, and I'd love to see you there. And you can always email support@rhysthomasinstitute.com if you have any questions or want to bring a big group. We'd love to see you there. So enjoy, and I will see you on the next tip.